Hi, I'm Mary Greendale, and welcome to another edition of Just Thinking. This is the last show that I will tape. As of tonight, I will retire and turn the table over to John Cronin, who is going to continue the program. I was most anxious that it not just disappear, because I think that Holliston has very few ways in which to circulate information, and I didn't want this one to be taken out of the mix. So the point of tonight's little show will be to introduce you to John and for us just to kind of set the stage for the future, and you can tell us what you're thinking of doing. So welcome, John Cronin.
Well, thank you very much. And as you made that introduction, I thought to myself, this might be your last time on that side of the table.
Yeah.
I can't rule out bringing you back, right?
Okay, all right, that's a possibility.
But no, it's a pleasure to be here, and I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to try and fill your big shoes. You've put a lot of work into not just this, Mary, but many other endeavors in Holliston, and the community owes you a great debt.
Thank you, thank you. But you didn't need to point out I had big shoes. Anyway, we are looking forward to what you're going to be interested in. Is it somehow different? I mean,
it's probably different only because you and I are different. I don't think it'll be terribly different. I mean, one of the things that I've always greatly admired about you is that we share a common passion, primarily in the public space of local politics, and also a strong interest in what our community is thinking, what it's doing, what are its challenges. You know, you and I have had many, many years of collaboration on a number of those different items. So I think it'll be a lot of the same type of content, but maybe with different tilt to it. I've been thinking since you and I talked about this some weeks ago about areas of interest. They're probably similar in that they'll cover the typical local political scene. By that I mean the people running for office, the people having something to say about making policy and being elected to do so. And it's also the volunteers who I came to find out when I moved here over 30 years ago are the backbone of this community. And you've, over the last several years, if you've had this show, have spotlighted a lot of those people in different forms. And so I think people can expect to see a lot of that. And I think one of the interesting things about your platform is it's whimsical. It doesn't always fit into one space. You know, you said it is what you want it to be, and that appeals to me too, because there are a lot of things that, as you know, as adults, as we grow into our community and grow old into it, we've seen a lot. We have a lot of thoughts about what may be coming next, and it's good to engage people on their ideas. So, more of that, and I can give you one area that I was thinking about this morning. Over the last several weeks, this is what we would call bubbler talk, you know, water cooler talk, right?
I love that stuff.
A colleague of mine is, she's about my age, and she was talking about food labels. And she is a breast cancer survivor, and she's very concerned about what she eats and what she consumes, and so she's a voracious reader of food labels. I happen to be married to somebody who does that too. But I don't, and she and I have gotten into extended conversations about sort of the food industry, the additive industries, and what a consumer ought to be thinking about when they go to purchase food and consume it, grow it, what have you. And that's an area I think that might have some length to it, because we all eat and we all want to eat healthy. And it's an area I think that has a lot of public interest right now, as people are starting to generate some thoughts on it. So one of the areas is that, and I'm sure you know, as the calendar turns to Labor Day, Holliston reawakens from its summer slumber.
Well, everybody comes home.
Everybody comes home. We'll have celebrations in September, and of course town meetings. So those normal cyclical things that I know Just Thinking covered in the past will come in. So you can expect to see some tapings relative to those events coming up also.
Well, I think that the one thing that came to mind when I said, okay, in my head, okay, you got to stop. It's been almost 25 years that I've been doing this show. It started as a 5-minute thing at the end of Holliston Happening. Holliston Happenings. God, there have been so many different shows, but Holliston Happenings with Jenny McGee and Marty Perlman as the hosts. And at the end of the show, I would do a 5 minutes on just thinking, and it was just that. What am I thinking about today? And very often it was local, but not always. I mean, you talk about the food label thing. I know we went through the bees and organic farming. I mean, we've done some of that stuff here. But the thing is, it's whatever I was thinking about. And it was, okay, that's fine. But the one place that I thought anybody could probably come in and do that kind of thing, but the one place I felt that you were the best person to come in and do it is the public policy, because I don't think there are more than 2 or 3 of us left that are policy wonks. You know? It seems that it used to be a bigger group, and over time, I don't know, people have either lost interest or whatever, but policy wonks are hard to find. And policy is so critical, and people don't generally think about it. And that's why I think and I hope that this show had value, was because there's always a policy behind everything that happens, whether it's getting sewers downtown or not getting sewers downtown or blah, 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 blah. So
I thank you for the compliment. I do think that I want to go back to something. One of the endeavors that you started some years ago that still has life is you started Holliston Net News, and it was another forum for people to look for local news. And as we stand today, there are so few areas where our community, specifically Holliston, can go to get information. This space is one of the last where it's specific to Holliston. It resonates with people. I know as a avid watcher and listener to what you produce and provide, I follow it, and I think quite a few people do in Holliston. I think it's an outlet of interest, especially come May when the candidates line up and they want to come in here. Those videos are widely shared, and I think that'll continue. I think as long as it remains civil, informative, and to some extent provocative, because people want to know something a little different every time they tune in. So I intend to sort of bring that angle to folks. The public policy piece, you're right, resonates everywhere. I want to tell people, my view of it is one of the reasons I love Holliston is when it comes to the local political scene, it's apolitical. You stand on your ideas. Why are you running? Why are you getting involved? Those answers sometimes are personal. They're difficult for a lot of people who are not accustomed to the public space to break through. But once they do, they tend to give their very best to the community, and those are the people I'm drawn to. So we'll be looking for people to express their thoughts on what they can bring to the town of Holliston to make it a very good place to live and to thrive in. So I'm very excited about that part of it, because I think that's endless. And I'm sure over the years you found the various people that sit on this time of the table to be intriguing and sometimes different, and I think that's a good thing.
all of the above. I've never run into anybody being obnoxious. Okay, I can honestly say I do not remember a time when I ever had to say, whoa, boy, or girl, or back up. And no, I think that everybody has walked in here knowing that, I have a certain standard to keep, and I think you will too.
You can expect that, and I'm also mindful that this cable medium was formed at a time when your TV was the best place for you to interact with this type of programming. Things are changing, and that space is now becoming more and more portable and competitive, and so I'm hoping to work with the staff here at HCAT to talk about ways to keep the message flowing through streaming and other
we
platforms.
Already do that.
Yep, no, broaden it, just keep going, push it.
Okay.
Because I do think you have to be prepared to share that image in ways that people are going to have to grow accustomed to finding us and to share the message and the thoughts.
Well,
and it'll also be a space, sorry to cut you off, to be welcoming. I mean, it's got to be a space where, tell me what your ideas are, tell me what your thoughts are, hear mine, and let it rest.
Yep.
Let it rest, let it simmer, and maybe come back and have another conversation. I don't know if over the years you've had multiple versions of the same topic to cover, because sometimes those topics do need some room to breathe, like a good bottle of wine.
Well, we are on YouTube, and this is, I'm sure most everybody who watches this knows we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we have a podcast, so you can, just listen to it. But it's because Holliston has so few ways in which to reach people, it becomes impossible to even let them know sometimes. So when newcomers arrive and that kind of thing, they have no idea. It takes a while for them to
Right.
figure that out. So if I have any future ambitions, and I'm not saying that I do because I just don't know what I want to do next, but I need to do something. It will go back to being not Holliston Net News, but it will go back to being finding the way to get people to communicate in this town, about this town. I regret the fact now that I didn't appreciate so much what we had when back in the 70s we would complain that we didn't have enough ink. Holliston didn't get enough ink. That was the lament, okay?
In the newspapers.
In the newspapers. We had the Milford Daily News, we had the Framingham Daily News, we had the Natick Weekly News, and there was one other one that floated around.
Metro Daily News.
Well, but at that time it was Framingham. It was Framingham News. So it's like we had plenty, by comparison, we didn't know how bad it could get. We shouldn't have been complaining, But when I was doing the history and going back to news clips, it was amazing how many things there were about Holliston, the Cub Scout troops, and this is the little things and the big things, all of it. Every candidate had a photograph and a profile of what they wanted to do and that kind of thing. None of that happens. Limited.
I think communications are always going to be the question. How do you do it better? How do you reach more people?
Yeah.
I embrace that. I think one of the things that folks should also think about when it comes to the future of this program, I'm not inclined to think that Holliston itself and the people within have all the answers. I'm inclined frequently to look outside Holliston. I think it's important that we be mindful of our neighboring communities, in some cases communities across our boundaries, so that we can learn something about how do you build a sidewalk. Where's the best sidewalk? Is it in the Netherlands? And why is it the best? Things like that. We have a borderless internet that has a mind-numbing amount of information if you choose to go look for it. It's a good resource, but bringing it into a space like this where people can dialogue may include folks from outside Holliston, and we'll bring them in and we'll have conversations about any host of things that I think probably would add value to most local citizens' understanding of how to make this place better. And
I think
at the
that's
bottom of
great.
the line, I was watching the intro, it says, the last one was community. In some ways that should be the first.
You can fix that any way you want.
Yeah. If we're focused on community first, it draws its life from that.
Yeah. Well, back when I was perhaps a little more energetic than I have been the last few years, there were times when, I didn't do it much, but had other guests from elsewhere come and so forth, and that really does add a very different dynamic, and it's very helpful. So I encourage you. I think that would be interesting for all of us as viewers. So, and I know that you still have your fingers on the pulse of what's going on in town, because you're still far more engaged than I am at this point. And you can keep people aware of what's happening.
Yeah, that's true. Currently the chair of the Sewer Commission, and from that we hope to drive a lot of positive impacts for the community down the river for the next several years. I think people understand there's a very checkered history about sewers in this community. You've probably done a show or two about it. But through that, we touch on a number of different other boards. Of course, I still keep in touch with Town Hall. I agree with you. I think that's the secret to staying informed, is to know what other people are thinking. We intend to, through this program and this narrative, be welcoming. I'm not here to draw conclusions or to call people out. It is not a debate space where it's going to be my way or the highway. It's a dialogue. I wrote down some notes and I left them in my car, but I referred to one space. It's adult dialogue. We're here to kind of civilly dialogue about thoughts, ideas, sometimes serious, sometimes emotional, but at all times informative, and for the benefit of the community. Well,
I've even thought if I were still staying, I'd be talking to the studio about trying to figure out another arrangement of this tabletop and so forth. So you can do that too.
Get a nice round Pottstown table. Or
seriously,
like
I mean, it calls for different, the times call for something different. And the reason this is like this is because sometimes I would have 4 guests, and it would be the only way that we could, all. But at any rate, the future is yours. And I'll be watching from the other side. But I look forward to it. I mean, I think you're going to bring a lot of good energy.
Well, thank you. The energy, the interest, the ideas are not always going to be mine. As I mentioned, the water cooler talk.
Cool.
If people have ideas, I'm sure over the years you've sourced them from
Absolutely.
others. Please get in touch with me through HCAT, and we'll be happy to bring them forward. I do plan to tape my first episode this Wednesday with members of the Celebrate Holliston team who are busy, very busy right now, getting ready to bring us into the celebration in September. So we'll talk about that Wednesday.
That'll be great.
I'm looking forward to it.
That'll be great.
I am.
Yeah, good.
Well, I want to thank you very much for all the years of service. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You're somebody who I've always looked up to, so very best to you, and you're not retiring. I know you're not.
I don't know.
Moving on to the next thing.
We'll find something else. No, the thing that continues to nag me is the communication. Is there a better way to do it? We got to find a way to do this. So at any rate, thank you, folks. It's been a great time. It's almost 25 years. It's hard to believe, but time goes by quickly. Covered a lot of ground, and it's always been a pleasure. And to all of the people who have stopped me on the street and said, "Oh, I know you." First time it ever happened, it really shocked me. It's like, why would they know me? But I see you on TV. Anyway, thank you so much for being a part of Just Thinking. Good night.
All right.